impressed with Jaron Boots Ennis. He did a great job. He knocked him out before Crawford did. Crawford knocked him out in the sixth round. And, I like the way Jaron Boots Ennis performed in spite of him being inactive for a whole year. And it was 6 years since he performed at the Wells Fargo Boxing Arena. And I think that I was really impressed with how the stadium was packed and full, and he sold out the arena. It was like 14,000 people in the arena, and there was still people walking in, paying to see him fight as he was walking in the ring. So I feel like he they did it. Eddie Hearns did a really great job in the promotion of Jaron Boots Ennis, and I think Jaron Boots Ennis, he was inactive for a year, so like he was a little rusty. And yes, he took chances. He has great defense, but he was hit by the Vanisian, whatever his name is. He was hit by him, but he wasn't like stunned or hurt. He just took more chances so he can make a great impression and knock him out. Sometimes you got to do that, But I feel like the reason why he was hit a little bit is because he was inactive and his timing was a little off. And I totally agree with that assessment of Boots Ennis. He was saying that in the aftermath of the fight, and I like I like that Eddie Hearns is actually signing a lot of the big names, and I feel like Shakur Stevenson hasn't made a decision yet, but in an interview that Hearns was doing, Shakur Stevenson was he kind of like hijacked the interview, and he has a lot of charisma, and they both do, and you know Shakur Stevenson was saying that he was looking at his option with different promoters, but at the same time, he did say that Eddie Hearns is one of the best to do it right now, and he likes the energy of Matchroom. He has charisma. I think the energy that both of their energies match. Eddie Hearns and Shakur Stevenson. He's charming, Eddie Hearns and Shakur Stevenson. So, but at the same time, it sounds more likely that Shakur Stevens is going to sign with Eddie Hearns because he says I like the energy of Matchroom, and he says he's one of the best to ever do it. But at the same time, if you put two and two together, it seems like okay, he's going to check out and see what all the other promoters offer Shakur Stevenson. But 9 times out of 10, I think he's going to sign with Eddie Hearns because he really praised Eddie Hearns, but still at the same time the money has to be right. The economical aspects of him signing to the promotion and the promoter has to be 100% the way Shakur Stevenson's most likely the way he sees it, and where it's gonna actually bring out the best in him because he likes the energy of Eddie Hearns and Matchroom. He likes that energy. He said that. Shakur Stevenson said that in the interview. De La Hoya has said that he will he's willing to make the fight with William Cepeda with Shakur Stevenson if Shakur Stevenson signs with Golden Boy. Right there, that's letting you know that Golden Boy doesn't think that William Cepeda can beat Shakur Stevenson based on that comment that he said. Because if he really believed that Shakur Stevenson will lose against William Cepeda, he wouldn't need that security blanket, but by having Shakur Stevenson sign with his promotional deal. So that's just a way of him, like if one of his fighters loses, he still has Shakur Stevenson. He still has exclusive rights to Shakur Stevenson if Shakur Stevenson signs him. So a lot of it is clout chasing, and I feel like De La Hoya has been clout chasing using William Cepeda's name, saying that that William Cepeda could beat Shakur Stevenson, which he knows that that's not true. Because if that was true, he wouldn't say, I'll make the fight with Shakur Stevenson and William Cepeda if Shakur Stevenson is willing to sign with me. He wouldn't say that if he really truly believed that William Cepeda could beat Shakur Stevenson, which he knows he can't. And I feel like it's a business. You have to look at it from a business aspect. Golden Boy, De La Hoya is going to do whatever works for him, business wise. So he has to protect his business too at the same time. But I feel like the guy that's getting all the great big fighters right now is Eddie Hearns. I like the homecoming success of Jaron Boots Ennis. He did a great job in spite of being inactive for a year. And I don't know if that fight is going to be made between him and Crawford. I know that Eddie Hearns is banking on Madrimov. He's a fighter. Let's see, where's he from? Uzbekistan. He's from Uzbekistan, and he's banking on the Uzbekistan fighter Madrimov to beat Terence Crawford because he's a I don't know too much about him, but he's a 11-0 with 7 KOs and 1 draw, and he's 29 years old, and these fighters are very tough. They come to fight. They're very dedicated. They come from far away, but you know Crawford is aging. He's 36, but he's aging like fine wine, and I don't know if Madrimov has a chance. He might, but the way Eddie Hearns is promoting Madrimov, he's making it seem like Madrimov is really the goods, and he's a promoter. He's banking on him, and he basically said that Ricky Burns lost the fight to Terence Crawford years ago, and I guess he wants to get revenge for that loss. He's an Englishman like him, and he wants to get revenge, I guess, through Madrimov. So I just feel like Crawford is the truth, and I still think he has a lot left. And I think he's gonna have a tough fight with Madrimov, but he's been inactive too. A lot of the fighters have been inactive, and I feel like he will beat Madrimov, but you never know. There's a lot of upsets happening, and I just feel like he's his own boss. Crawford, he doesn't have to worry about like what a promoter wants him to do if he signs with him. He does have a name value, but he's getting older, and he's actually has his own promotion too. He has his own promotion. Crawford. So Crawford's pretty much can do what he wants. He can sign with whoever he wants. He left Top Rank because they weren't really putting any great promotion behind him. But at the same time, you got to promote yourself because a lot of boxers, if they don't promote themselves, their name value is not going to have any weight where they could go and branch off from a promotion, a big promotion like Shakur Stevenson. He's been promoted by Top Rank, but Shakur Stevenson promotes himself too. Like he has his own personality. And Bob Arum was saying that Shakur Stevenson believes that all these other boxers are puppets that don't want to fight him, like Lomachenko, Tank Davis. He said, but all Lomachenko and Tank Davis, they actually have a name value, and they pick and choose. He says they pick and choose because they want to make the most money. They're pretty much independent, and they pretty much can pick and choose who they want to fight. That's what Bob Arum says. So he says that in Shakur Stevenson's mind, Bob Arum said that in Shakur Stevenson's mind, that Shakur Stevenson believes that these other fighters that don't want to fight Shakur Stevenson are puppets of Bob Arum. And Bob Arum is saying that's not true. Bob Arum is saying that these fighters are independent, meaning like Tank Davis and Lomachenko, they choose the fighters that are going to make the most money for them in their career. A lot of times, you got to promote yourself. And I feel like Shakur Stevens' name value is growing. A lot of people are talking bad about his performance, but come on, let's be realistic. Shakur Stevenson is a great defensive fighter, and he's a master at doing. He can stay in the pocket, but he sold out the arena where he was at, and his ratings are going up. So whether you say he's boring or not, his ratings are going up, and he's in high demand, like Eddie Hearns said. Shakur Stevenson's in high demand right now. Like, hate him or love him, he's in high demand. A lot of people want to see a knockout. Yes, so he has to fight the big fights right away because nobody's going to want to see him fight somebody that not everybody knows about. Stop the Cap. Boots was given that easy fight to look good. The dude has 4 losses. Okay, but he still has to come up and fight whoever's available. Like if the other fighters don't want to fight him, that's not his fault. So you can't take away the credit from Boots Ennis as his talent, as raw talent that he has. He has raw talent, and you can see the skill. Okay, he hasn't fought somebody at the level of Crawford, but he's fighting whoever's available. Crawford fought that same fighter. Crawford stopped him in 6, and he stopped him in 5. So he had. There's no excuses, but he has to fight whoever is willing to fight him. And everything is a business in boxing. Like they have to build up. They have to build up Ennis, Jaron Boots Ennis, the same way that Crawford had to start somewhere in the beginning. Everybody has to start in a process of how they get promoted, and little by little, Jaron Boots Ennis is gonna have to prove himself more and more with each fight. So there's no cap. In my channel, there's no cap. You may have your opinion on Jaron Boots Ennis. That's your opinion, but you gotta respect. Everybody has a right to observe and see the fighter for what they are. And if you don't give them credit as a talented boxer, then you're not being fair to the process. Like he has to get to point A to get to point Z, etc. So right now, raw talent, he passes the eye test, and he looked great last night in spite of the 1 year inactivity. So stop with the cap, making comments just because you want me to cater to what you want, and that's not the way it goes. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. Yes, he has to prove himself. Yes, Jaron Boots Ennis does have to prove himself, but I see that he has a lot of talent and he has a lot of potential to be great. And in this case with Crawford, he has the opportunity to beat Crawford because Crawford's getting older. Crawford's getting older. I'm not saying that he'll beat Crawford because Crawford's an amazing, amazing talent, and Crawford's been proven, but he's getting older, so we don't know what version of Crawford we're going to get because inactivity does affect your career, and it affects your timing. Yeah, I like to see Ennis versus Ennis versus Shakur. You're crazy. I think you're just trolling, man. You're trolling. I wouldn't want to see that. That's unfair. The size difference, but I don't want to entertain that. Matias fighting undefeated fighters in his hometown. Yeah, that's true, man. They're giving people soft touches. Yeah, you got those are facts. What you're saying, Samurai, because it's a double standard because when they sign with the big promoters and the big promoters are actually promoting these fighters, the big promotion is going to protect their fighter and make them look really great by fighting a not so dangerous fighter, but a good recognizable name, like the guy that Jaron Boots Ennis fought last night. He's a recognizable name because he lost against Terrence Crawford. But at the same time, it's true what you're saying. They give all these fighters that are like Subriel Matias. They gave him all undefeated fighters, because he's not, the big machine was never behind him. So they set up Subriel Matias to lose. And I feel like the homecoming with Subriel Matias wasn't as successful as Jaron Boots Ennis. A lot of people have their own opinion, but I feel like in Subriel Matias' case, he came up, under the radar with a Puerto Rican promotion that nobody knows about, like Fresh Production, like that. He was under the radar for that reason, and he would fight on the Showtime fights because Fresh Production got him the fight, like under Showtime, not directly connected with Al Heyman, but like fighting under the radar. And then once a bigger company was willing to sign him, after Fresh Productions got him the title fight under the radar with not so much promotion, then the deal changed because they didn't build him as a fighter. Eddie Hearn's Matchroom did not build Subriel Matias, so they signed him to a multi-fight deal, like basically saying, I'm gonna take you to the next level, but you're not gonna be the main fighter that I'm focusing on. You're just gonna be signed to a multi-fight deal on the Matchroom. That's what Eddie Hearns is saying. And then Paro was the fighter that was signed to a long-term deal, so that's the fighter that they were banking on. So everything is business. Boxing is a political, financial monopoly. So if they didn't build Subriel Matias, they're gonna feed him to the sharks. But in this case, they probably paid Subriel Matias to not throw so many combinations, just look like you was somewhat competitive, but don't throw 80 punches, throw less, because you could see that he wasn't fighting the way he usually fights, and there was something wrong with it. There's something fishy about him. Subriel Matias only throwing 30 combinations. So Everything is about business and whatever benefits the pocket of the main company. And the main company is gonna sign Subriel Matias, and they didn't build him up. They're gonna take him and use him as a scapegoat to feed him to the sharks of the fighters that the big promotion is promoting, like Paro in this case. They were promoting Paro to beat Subriel Matias, and Subriel Matias alluded to that. There's no way Matias lost to Paro. Yeah, yeah. It's Eddie has Paro on his main guy. Eddie has Paro as his main guy, so he wanted him to win. Yes, facts, facts. A lot of people don't look at it like that. They look at it like, oh, we're looking for excuses for Subriel Matias. That was supposed to be Subriel Matias' hometown, homecoming. It was a failure, but you can see that Subriel Matias was not fighting the way he normally does. And he didn't throw 80 punches per round. He threw 30. But when he did land significant punches on Paro, Paro was on Queer Street. In the corner, in the sixth round or seventh round, you could see that he was really dazed and confused. And, so I know Subriel Matias wasn't supposed to win that fight because the money was behind Paro, and they made a deal with Subriel Matias, and they said, we're going to pay you more. That's probably what happened because they didn't build up Subriel Matias. So when Subriel Matias was signing to a bigger company that was going to focus on promoting Subriel Matias, the stipulations was that Subriel Matias was signed to a multi-fight deal with Matchroom. He wasn't signing a long term. So they're protecting their money, and they gotta protect their fighters. There's people that pay other people. They pay the judges to make sure that if the fight is competitive, you make sure my guy wins. And there was some home cooking in Puerto Rico with the referees, but at the same time, Eddie Hearn's money was more effective. He has more money than whoever was banking on Subriel Matias in the hometown. He had more of a say because he had more money behind Paro to win. So there was some home cooking from Puerto Rico, but it didn't work because whatever they didn't have the power that Eddie Hearns had. So the only way that Subriel Matias was going to win that fight was by KO. And I just feel like everything was already set up for Paro to win that fight by Eddie Hearns. Eddie Hearns has a lot of influence. I'm sure there was, Fresh Production had some influence in Puerto Rico, but not as much as Eddie Hearns Matchrooms. They have more money, so they can do more. So they can do more behind the scenes where it benefits their fighter and their promotion. So there's a lot of factors in boxing that a lot of people in the mainstream don't really know, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff going on that's corrupt in boxing, and I feel like, Subriel Matias is gonna, they're probably gonna use him to feed him to somebody that they feel like is gonna beat him, but I don't know if they're trying to make it seem like, oh, Subriel Matias is coming back from another loss, like the way he did with an onion, like he was able to avenge that loss by KO. So maybe they're trying to make it seem like, he lost before and he came back. So then when they promote him the next time, they're probably going to promote him like, oh, he's going to be able to come back from this. And they're going to try to make as much money as they can with Subriel Matias, but it's not going to be like the main focus of Subriel Matias as a star. They're going to basically promote him as a gimme for any of the other fighters. Maybe the top fighters maybe he won't fight the top fighters, or maybe he will. We have to see how the politics goes, and we'll see. I don't know if they're going to be fair with Subriel Matias because they didn't build Subriel Matias. He came up, from the underground in Puerto Rico and under the radar. And those promoters, those promotions, they don't get the respect that the bigger promotions get. So they use them as scapegoats. They did that with Danielito Zorrilla, with Miguel Cotto. Like Miguel Cotto built him up, and then, when he moved up and they started getting fights, he started losing, and they weren't promoting him as the star, So because the big promotions, they're gonna take their fighters and the ones that they build, they're gonna make sure that they look good against the ones that are coming up under the radar, like from Puerto Rico, like promotions that people don't know about too much. They don't have that elite status. But I think Jaron Boots Ennis, he he's the truth. But they're gonna promote him in a way to make him look really good because he has the big machine behind him right now. But is it enough for him to get a Crawford fight? They say that your Excellency from Saudi Arabia, they're making all the big fights. They're putting all the money on the big fights. We'll see. They did tell Eddie Hearns that they're interested in making a fight with Crawford versus Jaron Boots Ennis if Crawford wins this fight with Madrimov. And Eddie Hearns believes that there's a big possibility that Madrimov is going to upset Crawford on August 3rd. That remains to be seen. I don't think so, though. I think Crawford still, in spite of being inactive, and he still has the goods. But if he gets old overnight, you never know. But I think he still has the goods. Crawford and the fight with Jaron Boots Ennis, I don't think it's going to be made that easy because he wants Canelo. Crawford wants Canelo. And I'm like, that's an unfair fight. It's a difference in weight class. It's a big difference. But, you never know. He might be able to pull it off if he still has the sharpness and he doesn't get old overnight. But fights like that, I don't like. It's just all business and all about the money, just the name value. But it's not. There's no quality in the fight because I feel like it should be an evenly set up boxing match where both of them have equal ability or similar ability, or it's just at an even playing field. No weight advantages. Well, David Benavidez and Canelo would be the ideal fight, but they say that David Benavidez is physically bigger than Canelo by 20, 15 pounds or something like that. But Canelo has fought smaller guys, Amir Khan. So why all of a sudden he's saying it's wrong for him to fight somebody like David Benavidez unless he's going to get paid $200 million, which I don't knock him for wanting that much money for a fight. But at the same time, it lets me know that he doesn't feel secure in beating David Benavidez. So he wants to make sure that financially he's set so he could, retire and be financially really comfortable for a fight with that much element of danger with David Benavidez. So I feel like that's something that Canelo wants to make sure that he's secure financially because he's not really 100% sure that he's going to beat him. Eddie wants to keep the belt with him for leverage. Yeah, of course. If this guy, you're right, Samurai. I like what you're saying, man. I love what you're saying. That's crazy that they give other opportunities of getting knocked out. Yeah. It's like, I feel like he wants to keep the leverage with the fighter. Like, if Madrimov beats Crawford, he's going to have leverage because his fighter beat a pound for pound great, number one great. So that's going to give him leverage, and that's what he's banking on. And I feel like Eddie Hearns, he knows what he's doing. There's no way Matias lost the yeah, man. I know that. That's crazy how they give other opportunities off of getting knocked out. Yeah, that's the way the boxing business is. It's really corrupt. They have to sacrifice you to do what they want. They have their own agenda. The bigger companies have their own agenda. Fresh Production had their agenda with making Subriel Matias a champion and getting him the opportunities after he keeps knocking out all the fighters that were, offered to Subriel Matias so he could lose by other companies. They never wanted Subriel Matias to win, but he kept knocking them out because he was with Fresh Production. Fresh Production allowed him to make sure that he won those fights. Like, they didn't get involved and say, "Oh, you have to do this for my company because I want to build my fighter." No, they didn't have to do that because they were promoting, putting 100% promotion on Subriel Matias as their horse, their fighter. But the cons of that is that you're not going to get the promotion that you want, but you're going to win those fights under the radar with not much promotion building you up as this superstar. So that's what they did with Subriel Matias. But when you fight, when you sign a deal with a big company, then the agenda changes. They're gonna be like, well, you have to lose this fight because this is the fighter that I'm putting my money on. It's a gamble. It's a monopoly. They want to make sure that their fighter wins. So the agenda changes when Super Matias signs with Matchroom. The agenda changes. Now you're gonna get promotion, but you gotta sacrifice something if I'm gonna promote you because I didn't build you. I didn't build your career. The fresh production built your career. So now it's a different agenda. It's boxing politics, man. That's how it is, man. I'm keeping it real. Eddie wants to keep the belt with him for 11. Oh yeah, I read that already. Okay. Yeah, so Samurai, man, thanks for commenting on the video. I appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. I feel like the fans are really engaging and they're really tuning in to when I give them the truth, the real good information that not everybody's talking about. Not all those other channels don't. Not all of them, but a lot of them are not saying the real deal about what goes on in the boxing game. You know what I mean? But at the same time, subscribe to my channel, click like, keep tuning in. I got more stuff for you, more great content for you. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Comment. I appreciate all the love and all the hate, but I want my channel to be as positive as possible, and I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tony Also Knows Boxing. I think that at the end of the day, Canelo, he's not going to choose Berlanga. He might choose him because he was saying that Berlanga was like ungrateful because Berlanga was trying to act like he deserves more because of his name. So they might bypass him, but they might not because it all depends on how the negotiations work out with Berlanga and Canelo because Berlanga's he doesn't have a great resume. They're gonna make the fight because it's the name, his money value. It's just a no frills Puerto Rico versus Mexico, But I think the best fight should be made, and it's possible that Saudi Arabia will make the best fights possible because they have a lot of leverage in boxing now. But I don't know if Jaron Boots Ennis is a big enough name for them to make that fight with Crawford because Crawford has his own agenda. He wants to fight Canelo and he sees a lot of opportunity in there. But if they offer Crawford a lot of money to fight Jaron Boots Ennis, he might do it, he might not. I don't think he wants to give an up-and-coming contender that's getting respect the chance to beat him like as a come-up. I don't think that Crawford wants to be giving somebody that's coming up and give him an opportunity as a come up by beating Crawford. But I don't know. Crawford's confident in his ability, so we don't know. It's just all economical interests. Financial decisions are made based on how much money and economics a fighter's going to get because they want to retire, with being well off and taken care of financially. So that's what the game is about. It's become more of a business than a sport. But yeah, tune into my channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Check out my music. I got a new album called The Essence of Who I Am. It's coming out. And I got like 3 albums on my, on my Spotify, Pandora. I got hip hop, R&B, dance music, a little bit of everything. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to Tony Also Knows Boxing. One love.